on this old car, I'm going to show you how to turn this headliner into this. Alright, so I'm going to start working on this headliner. So this is the titanium gray headliner out of my 92 Coupe. I've already taken it out, and you can see that some previous person put an iron-on elephant on there. If it was just dirty, I probably would clean it, even though it is pretty saggy and it's fallen down there. You might be able to fix that. Instead of that, I'm actually going to take off the fabric, and I'm going to put on new fabric. And I'm going to change this from a gray to a black. So I went to Joann's Fabric, and they actually have 3 colors there. They have a tan, a gray, and a black. For me, the gray I think was a little too dark. It's more like a smoke gray versus titanium. And with gray, you have to be careful, I think, with any shades. If you're going to keep them closed, I'd rather keep it all factory. Now, headliners themselves, if you go to replace it, say you order one from TMI, they're $250 to $300. I'm going to show you how to do a headliner with a different color or the same color if you want to use a gray for 25 bucks. Are you ready? Let's get started. Alright, to really get this started, I'm going to go ahead and peel the fabric off there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this fabric and I'm going to peel it. So on mine itself, you notice the headliner itself is made up of kind of like a corrugated backing from the OEM. You'll have a kind of a cardboard liner, and then you're going to have the fabric. When I'm pulling mine up, I'm actually pulling off the fabric foam and the cardboard liner, and it's separating, as you can see, from the cardboard backing. So I'm going to take all of this off first, and then I'm going to start rebuilding it up layer by layer until I get to the finished product. So let me start by taking this off, and once this is off, I'll show you the next steps. Now with this, I know it's going to come apart. I'm going to take my time, piece by piece. I don't want to tear the backing to it, or the hardboard, or what you want to call it, the corrugated piece. I'm not worried about the stuff I'm taking off. I want to make sure I have a good foundation to start from. So you're just going to go back and forth, piece by piece. Make it sturdy and sexy. So this will all just come off. You just got to be careful on your corners here, because they are slit to be able to bend with the car shape, because it's not completely flat. Alright, so there you have it. Here's the cardboard back. You can now see this is the OEM gray, titanium gray material. You have all your pattern there, so now it's just a matter of take this, fold it up, and throw it in the garbage. Alright, so step 2 now. Once I have my foundation clean, I'm going to add in a layer of paper, a thick craft paper basically. When I went to Joann's to get the material itself, I looked at all their craft paper, and they had basically an 8x12 or an 18x24, a bunch of papers in there, and I really wasn't very impressed, trying to think I was going to have to make like a checkerboard in here for that. So on the way home, I actually went to the co-op to get some feed for the animals here, and in their feed bay off their pallets, they actually had some really nice thick cardboard paper, I guess I'll call it. So I'm going to take this and glue it onto this. I'm going to use 2 sheets. You can see it's just barely big enough to cover most of it, and then I'm going to use a second piece to cover what's left of it. I'm going to use the 3M Super 77 multi-purpose adhesive. This is made for headliners and trim, and it'll hold up to the heat. So I take this aside. With this, you just spray it on, give it 30 seconds to get tacky, and then put your pieces on. So piece 1 will go on, and then I'm going to glue it, put the second piece on, and then I will trim the edge all the way around to get this to fit this shape. I'm just going to use basically some scissors. let's get started. Alright, so I'm going to start basically I'm just going to be generous with it. You can see I've laid down some sheeting on the floor so that if I do get some overspray, because I'm going to get some overspray, when I do get some on there, it won't stain the carpet or concrete or anything else you're doing this on. So, it really says 1 gram per square inch or whatever, so I don't know how much that is. So I'm going to be generous with it. I have a can for this whole project, and by golly, I'm going to use it. So you can see I kind of covered the front half here with it. I'm going to lay out my paper to fit just over the edge, and I'm going to start from the edge going out. Now just remember, in your corner where it's slit, you want it to lay flat initially, and then when you cut the slit, it'll start to take that shape back. So with this, just press it on. And it's kind of like a big sticker if you think of it that way. And with this, probably just using your hand, probably going to give enough pressure. Alright, so just remember, you want to get every last wrinkle out of this stuff, because it will probably show through your material for your headliner. So get every wrinkle out of it, like an air bubble. And if it doesn't go down easily, peel it back up, start over. Like this. Alright, now once that's on and done, I'll spray this last little strip. I'm going to add a second piece of paper, then I'm going to use some scissors and I'll cut it out. So once you come back from there, I'm going to take a break and then I'll put the headliner on. Alright, so now you can see I have got all the first layer laid down, I guess you'd say. This is all together. I've actually got pieces over there on the side that butt together. And then I've cut this to fit. Now when I cut it, I let all the glue dry and I double check the edges. I mix it up between a pair of scissors and a razor blade on some of it. Some of the stuff like the dome lamp itself, it's kind of hard to get to unless you use a razor blade. Just use a sharp one, and then when you cut, make sure you cut from the back side so you can see clearly where the original backing board is. And when you cut the edges off, you can just trim it to basically your hardboard or your backboard. And that way you don't cut from the front and then risk cutting into your original piece. Just take your time. It took me probably about 30 to 40 minutes to cut all this out. And that was just because I was taking my time making sure all the edges were sealed all the way around. And I had a couple spots where I needed to re-glue and make sure they touched down. So now it's time to get the material that I bought and start going to this piece itself. So this is dry. I've wet it out very well so there's no wrinkles in it. And wrinkles will technically, well, they should show through to the front a little bit. So you want to get any air bubbles out, because now your material or your hardliner material is going to go to this cardboard piece or the paper layer you put in there. So let me grab that, and it's going to be the same process. I'm going to lay it down, fold it back, I'll spray it down, and then I'm going to lay it flat, wet it out, and then flip it over your side and wet it out. So let's go and get started on that. Now you can see I've got the material down. You can see it's a black, and it's actually got a foam backing to it. Now I bought 2 yards of material, and when you go to Joann's, of course, for me it was $15 per yard, so I bought 2 yards, but actually the cashier, I guess that I had a pretty face, and gave me a coupon for 50% off of one item, so I basically got buy one get one free. So for 15 bucks I got material, and 10 bucks I got the can of glue, and the craft paper was basically free, other than I just had to ask for it. So for 25 bucks I'm going to get this done, and should turn out pretty good. So again, put on a good coat, give it 30 seconds or so to tack up, and then start laying it down, and take your time on this. This stuff is, you don't want to stretch it very much. You don't want to stretch it, and so you will lay it down evenly, and then just kind of rub your hand across it. Make sure your hands are clean or dry. If they're, you know, I have glue on it, but it's dry, so it's not going to go to the front side. So let's get started. Alright, you can see I'm almost done with the complete headliner itself. Now for this, I've gone probably about 8 inches at a time. It's roughly about a 46 inch, I think, front to back headliner, or 48, somewhere in there, 50 inches, something like that. So as I'm doing about 6 to 8 inches of spray of glue all the way across, and then I'm laying the material over it. Now I'm using a nitrile glove or a latex glove. I'm using this hand to kind of touch the foam itself. Only on the front side am I using the gloved hand. That way I don't have to worry about getting glue or dirt or anything on the front side, because the glove I'm keeping clean itself. So as I go, I'm splitting the center line in half, or the headliner to the center in half, and I'm wetting it out kind of like a big sticker. If I get a wrinkle in it, all I'm doing is just pulling the headliner up and reapplying it down. That way I don't have to worry about any wrinkles. And as you're going, you remember you want to kind of center your headliner and make sure it's perpendicular. It does have a little bit of texture to it, and you don't want it to kind of be crooked on your headliner unless you know, maybe have a thing to have that way. I'm trying to do as close to perfect as I can, as I always do. So I've had 2 more sections here to do it, and then I'll be done. So un momentito, I will be finished. Alright, so here's kind of the finished product. You can kind of see the rough outline. I still need to trim the edges and cut out all the holes, but I've folded back the plastic sheeting I put down. That way I have a clean surface to work on. I swept the floor before, so now I don't have to worry about glue or anything getting on the surface. And I've also folded back the material there. So for there, I'm going to use the same scissors and razor blade, cut around all the edges, cut open all the holes. And as soon as I'm done, I will show you the finished product. Alright, so there's the outside, as you can see. Now, remember on the edges, on the corners, you do have a slit on the back, but you remember you're not cutting that, because you want this, when it contours the car, it's actually going to fold the material over and give you a little crease. So make sure when you cut, you can, everything, give it little notches. And this stuff is pretty pliable, so just be kind of, you don't have to get exactly on the cardboard. You can give it a little bit of edge. And remember, when you have them put it in the car, all the finishers actually, there's a finisher on every edge, outer edge, so you don't have to be crazy tight to it. You can give yourself a little bit of material, and this is pretty flimsy, so it'll fold back in there. So the last thing I need to do is obviously cut up my dome lamp, cut up my sun visor holes, and the sun visor holders, and the dome lamp, and that will be it. Okay, there you have it. There's the last little piece. There's a black headliner, completely redone with the factory. So, again, take your time. This has probably been about 2 hours to do this, but cost me $25. And it, prices will vary depending on your cuteness and the cashier's ability to do that. So, again, materials I've used, about 2 yards of material, about 1 can of the 3M Super 77 and trim adhesive. That was $25, and then it'd be, let's see, what, $40 if I had to buy the material with no discount. I've used 1 razor blade, and if you don't want to use scissors, you want to use the razor blade all the way around. Everything's done. So 2 hours, $25. Beats the hell out of paying $250 to $300 for a new headliner. Hey, thanks for watching my video on redoing your headliner in your Mustang or any other project car you're working on. If you like this video and you want to see others, hit the subscribe button down there. Leave me a comment. Ask me any questions you have over the video. Later on, I'm going to be redoing more of the interior, and eventually going to change the oil and get to drive this beast. See you next time.